Have you ever tried to write copy for your ecom brand only to end up staring at a blank screen for 15 minutes? That happens to the best of us. So I talk to a lot of ecom brands, and oftentimes one of the biggest challenges they face is coming up with high converting copy. And a quick glance at their email and SMS program, and I immediately see that they basically couldn't sell water in the desert. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you our top 5 copywriting frameworks. These are the same frameworks that have generated millions of revenue for our clients from email and SMS. And stick around, because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to write high converting copy in a matter of minutes. So let's get into it. Who am I? My name is Hussam, and I've been in digital marketing for 15 years and in ecom for over a decade. I've generated well over 8 figures in extra revenue for our ecom clients, and I've personally spent millions on paid media and had my own ecom stores in the past as well. So I understand the daily grinds of running an ecom brand. I'm also the founder of Power by Marketing, which is a full service email and SMS agency, and we typically work with ambitious ecom brands and help them scale faster using email and SMS. So let's check some of the campaign results from our clients here. So you can see in the first example, we were able to generate 43,845 from this particular email. Second example, 12,000. Third example, 24,000, 3,000, 29,000, 2,000, 14,000, 4,000, 18, and 23,000. So just so you can see the potential when you have basically effective copy and also effective design in your emails. So why start with a copywriting framework? So instead of having writer's block and staring at a blank screen for a long time and struggling basically to coming up with effective copy, you can instead use a copywriting framework that's already proven to work. Think of these frameworks as basically formulas that you can just copy, using information from your brand. And these have already been proven by psychology to work throughout the times. And there are obviously dozens and dozens of copywriting frameworks that you can use in your business. But at Power by Marketing, we use these the most. The first one is BAB, PAS, FAB, ADA, and Pastor. And I'm going to explain what each of these is in the next frames here. So the first one is BAB, which is called Before After Bridge. This is one of the most powerful copywriting frameworks that we use in our clients' emails. And for example, you say the before is you walk into your living room and it looks like your dog exploded, fur on the couch, fur on the floor, fur somehow on the ceiling fan. So this is a little bit for like, a pet brand. And it's a little bit, their tone of voice is a little bit funny. So the after is going to be, now imagine a spotless floor, a couch you can sit on without wearing your dog, and a life where the only fur you deal with is sticking to your dog, not to your yoga pants. Okay. And then you have the bridge. So you show an image or situation of the before using your product and then after you use your product. And then you bridge between the two. And you say, for example, and this is just an example, this is not an actual product. Meet the Furinator 3000, the self-cleaning robot vacuum that makes your home cleaner than your dog's conscious after stealing your sandwich. So again, maintaining that tone of voice, which is quirky, a little bit funny, makes people laugh, lighthearted as well. And then you say click below to rescue your floors and your sanity. So this is an example of how we use the before and after copywriting framework. So you try to paint an image or a picture of how their life is before using your product, and then how their life is going to look like after using your product, and then you bridge it with your product as a solution and the CTA. And this is one of the most powerful copywriting frameworks that we use. Let's jump into the second. The second one is called PAS, which is Problem, Agitate, Solution. So this works for the majority of the brands, but sometimes maybe if you have like a fashion brand or something like that, then it will not work incredibly well. But because this is mostly for products that solve a problem. So the first one is describe a problem or a pain point your ideal customer has. Let's say they have poor sleep. The second one, you expand a little bit on the problem, or we say like agitate it. Another expression I heard out there is called like twisting the knife, which is not a very positive expression, but just so you can get the point. So basically agitate the problem a little bit. So people, can imagine themselves in that problem. So they can, basically imagine it in their head. So you can say something like poor sleep leads to fatigue, which leads to less productivity at work and no energy for hobbies or social events. Okay, so we expand a little bit on what the consequences of that problem is. And you can describe as I mentioned here, the consequences of those things over the long term. In addition, prolonged poor sleep leads to major negative health consequences. You can even expand a little bit on it. And the other advice that I have here, or tip, is to be as descriptive as possible to get people to imagine. Because sometimes when you notice this, for example, a lot of food brands or something like that, they use incredibly descriptive copy. And just by reading it, your mouth starts salivating. And that's the effect of basically descriptive copy in your brain. So you want to paint a vivid picture of your ideal customer's mind. The more you understand, obviously, your ICP, ideal customer profile, the better this will connect. And then the third thing is that you present your product and solution as the knight in shining armor. So you can also add what their life would look like after trying your product. Another bonus we like to have is if you could include reviews of customers and how your products actually have solved their problem. This would be incredibly effective. So the third copywriting framework is called the FAB, not just because it's a fabulous framework, but it's just called a FAB. It's features, advantages, benefits. So you know the feeling when sometimes you open an email from a brand and you see that it says our product has the latest 4D Max hyper interactive quantum display. So this is obviously just stretching the example a little bit. And you receive this and you'd be like, okay, so I do not understand the most of these words and I honestly do not actually care. So neither do the majority of your customers. Yes, some of your customers might be on the nerdy side and they would care about these, features and, the technical aspects, but the majority of customers, they actually do not care about that at all. They care what's in it for them, like how their life is going to change when they try your product. So and also what benefits they can get from your products. Enter the features, advantages, benefits. So the FAB copywriting framework, which is one of the most powerful frameworks that we use for our e-commerce clients. So here's an example. Feature, you say custom fitted nose clips that reduce snoring. And advantage, helps you breathe quietly while sleeping. I tried these actually in the past and they actually work. They like these the Hormozy, whatever they are called, and they help you breathe better. But anyway, so the advantage is helps you breathe quietly while sleeping. So this is an advantage or a benefit, and then just an advantage, and then the benefit: your partner won't throw a pillow at your face at 3 a.m. So again, this is for a brand that's a little bit quirky, a little bit on the fun side. So you can see here the use of feature, advantage, benefits. So you never only talk about features in your emails. You always tie them into an advantage and a benefit, or at least a benefit, because a lot of people, they don't care about these features. They care how these features are going to impact their life positively. Okay, so keep this in mind whenever you mention features in your emails. Always tie them to benefits. So let's go to the fourth copywriting framework, which is AIDA. This is arguably one of the most famous ones. And it's basically one of the all-time classics. And here's an example. So the first one is you grab attention. So you say, for example, your back called, it's suing you for the old mattress. So this is for a mattress brand. Again, we like to fun copy. Sometimes, it aligns with tone of voice, but if your brand is not like that, then don't feel forced to use funny copy here. And then, you attract attention or grab attention, and then you build interest. What do you say? You say, our memory foam remembers what comfort feels like, even if you've forgotten. Okay. And then you build desire into your product. You say, upgrade to better sleep and wake up feeling like King Kong, ready to conquer your day. Okay. And then the action at the end, which is, the CTA, the call to action: order now for 20% off. Your spine will thank you. So this is an incredibly simple copywriting framework. And you can see here that it's fun, it's engaging, and people are going to basically laugh when they read this copy for this particular brand. So the last copywriting framework, which is the pastor, and have you ever wondered why or how those pastors are so good at persuading and converting people? This is not the subject, obviously, of this copywriting framework. This is just an acronym, but this pastor framework is incredibly effective. So here's an example. The first one is the problem. So you say, still stuck This is for a dating app, right? You say problem, still stuck swiping left on love. Dating feels like a second job and the pay sucks. So again, this is a funny example, but yeah, you describe the problem vividly. As I mentioned before, try to be a little bit more descriptive. It depends on your branding guidelines and tone of voice, obviously. The second thing is you amplify. So this is similar to the framework where I said you amplify the pain a little bit, you agitate the pain, the PIS framework. So you say, for example, something like, at this rate, your cat might become your emergency contact. And then the story solution. So you say, after 13 bad first dates, Alex downloaded our app and met his soulmate on date number 14. So this is the solution or the story. And maybe try to come up with something from an actual customer of yours, maybe from a testimonial. Someone says, hey, after trying all of these failed products in the past, I've tried this brand or your brand and it has changed my life, or something like that. Obviously, try to be a little bit more descriptive and not that vague. And then you have the transformation. So what happened after your solution, right? And in all of these, you try to paint a vivid picture. So the customer or the prospect gets to imagine these scenarios, right? They get to put themselves in the person that you are talking about shoes, okay? So transformation, you say your weekends could go from watching Netflix alone to having someone argue about the topping on your pizza, okay? And then you have your offer. So you present your offer or your solution. You say our AI dating app will find the perfect match, basically in you, less than 24 hours, and it's completely free. So, and then you can say your cat will thank you. And then the response, sign up today, love won't swipe on yourself. Basically a CTA to get people to sign up to your dating apps. So yeah, that's basically it. 5 simple copywriting frameworks that will help you write high converting copy in no time. So you don't have to spend a ton of time thinking every single time of how you can write effective copy. You can always start with one of these copywriting frameworks. So at least you have a formula, a framework, and obviously you can be creative once you have that framework. You can be creative in terms of what you'd like to come up in terms of taglines, or maybe some creative copy that aligns with your brand. So if you found this video helpful, click like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I also included a link in the description for a free 56-page masterclass on the anatomy of the perfect email. So this has everything I know on how to create high converting emails for Ecom. Basically, all the copywriting frameworks. So I only included 5 here, but there are a ton more. And there is actually a difference between branded copy and direct response copy. So a lot of these are direct response. But in this guide, I'm also going to share with you how to write brand copy, like basically elevated copy like Apple does. And I'm going to share with you 5 rules of effective email design, then persuasion tactics. These are based on Robert Cialdini's influence, which has 7 persuasion tactics. These are incredibly, incredibly powerful, and we use them in the majority of our emails. They will help you increase your conversion rate and generate more revenue from each email and SMS you send, plus some little known hacks that honestly, most of your competitors will not know about, and that will personally save you a ton of time and money. And then a campaign checklist. So this is a checklist that you can follow before you hit that send button, just to make sure that your campaign is set up for success, and much, much more. So click on the link in the description to get the free guide. Also, if you have an Ecom brand and you would like to generate between 35 to 50% of your total revenue from email or SMS, then I would like to offer you a free in-depth audit of your email or SMS program. So I'm going to be sharing with you exactly what's missing in your account, what could be improved, and how much more revenue you'll be able to generate when all of the improvements are implemented. This is 8 to 10 pages of expert recommendations specifically made for your brand, and it's completely free. So click the second link in the description to schedule a quick call with me, and I'll talk to you then.